Most people who want to learn AutoCAD never starts because the existing tutorials are too long, too complicated, or they assume that you know something. But don't worry, I'm here to help you. Hello friends and welcome to AutoCAD mini course for beginners. We will cover this tutorial in 3 separate parts. The first part, which is this session, is learning how to draw in AutoCAD. Then we will know how to modify and how to dimension in separate sessions. Also, at the end of each session, I will try to solve an example to show that you are ready to work with AutoCAD. Are you ready? Let's go! After running the AutoCAD, this is the first screen that you see. If it is your first time that you work with AutoCAD, this part will be empty like this for you. But if you have done some previous projects, they will shown here as the recent files. You can open the existing files, but we don't have existing files. Now we want to make a new file, so we need to click on this. But you can use this pull down to have access to different templates. I need new file, I click on this by left click. Now I have my software in open form. Let's be familiar with different parts of this software. As you can see in here, we have quick access toolbar. We have the title of the software. It means that the AutoCAD 2025, its version, and the name of the project that we have. Because we have not saved it and we have not assigned the name for that, it intrinsically gives the name of drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, and like this, and the suffix of the files in AutoCAD is DWG. Now we have access to the menu bar here. At first stage you don't have access to this, but if you want to make it active, as you see, for example, I say menu bar, in here the value is 1, I say 0, it's still same case that you open the software. If you want to have access for that, you say menu bar, enter the value of 1. Now you have access to this menu bar. In here we have different tabs: Home tab, Insert tab, Annotate tab. Inside each tabs we have different panels: Draw panel, Modify panel, Annotation panels. In panels we have access to our commands. Also we have access to our commands in this menu bar too. For example, when we say draw, here we have draw, and we have same commands here as you can see. Here we have our drawing windows, we have our view cube, and also the UCS icon. It means that the X and Y coordinates, it shows here the origin of that. Here we have the command line, and here we have the status bar. It is all the parts that you needed to be familiar. So after being familiar with different parts, now let's start with how to draw the first command, which is line. If I keep the mouse on top of this line, you'll see that it gives information for that. I can make active this command by left clicking on this. Now it's active. I can use the other way. I can type the commands on the menu, on the command line. I say L, the alias of that, or I can say line in full form. I say L, enter. The first thing that in all the drawing commands asks you is specifying the first point. It means that you need to give the value of X and Y as the coordinates and the point, information about your first point. Now I say, for example, this is arbitrary point and this is my first point. In a line you need 2 points to make it a line. So I say this is my first point, the second point I use this as an arbitrary case. But if I want to be in exact form, I can use the absolute coordinates or relative coordinates. Mostly our projects need relative coordinates, so we will learn here how to work with that. But if you want to learn the absolute coordinates too, you can check our playlist in our channel. Now in this part, if I want to work in relative coordinates, intrinsically dynamic input is in relative form, but I can use, for example, shift and number 2 as the @ sign to make it in relative form. Now it is relative. I want to go, for example, 100 in the right side. If I want to go to the right side or left side, they are different. For example, if I want to go to the right side, I need to give the positive, but left side is negative. After giving the information about X direction, it's time to give the value in the Y direction. In this time, I say that this is the 100. I want to go to the second coordinate, which is the y value. I say comma. Now I give the second value, which is I want at this time to be minus 100. It means that going down, not up. I say minus 100, enter. As you see, it shows that it is small here. You can use the zoom feature to make this drawing process easy for yourself. How can you use that? You can scroll up for zooming in and scroll down for zooming further. So I say, for example, scrolling up, I zoom in, and when I press the middle button of the mouse, as you see, it gives a hand sign. So I can press it by pushing and keeping that. I can move on this window. But if I want to zoom in, as I told you, I scroll up. This is zooming in. Now, after drawing, for example, I want to say zoom out. For doing that, I can say scrolling down. I can zoom out. So we learned these cases. In here, you see these grids. If these grids bothers you, you can make them active or inactive. You can come here, as you see, it says grids. You can left click on this. It is inactive, and now you can make it active. You can use the function key of F7 to make this process easier for yourself. Sometimes, or mostly it's better to say, our lines are in horizontal and vertical form. If I want to, for example, draw a line in horizontal and vertical, maybe by drawing in this manner, I make a mistake, but I can use a trick here, which is ortho mode. I can make this on. You can make this on or off with F8 function key 2. Now it is active, and all the lines, this time I cannot go to other directions. I can just go in the X and Y direction, as you can see. So I can say, for example, 200 in this value, and 200 at this part, 200 at this part, 200 at this part. As you see, it makes the drawing form fast. In here, let me call the line again. As you can see, I want to start my drawing from the end of this part. At first stage, you need to, for example, let me make this off. If I come to this part, you see that if I select on this point, if I zoom in by scrolling up, you see that it is not the end point. How can I make my drawings in exact form? You can use object snaps to make your drawing in exact form. So object snaps are here. You have different informations about them. All of them now here are active, but mostly we use endpoint, midpoint, and center. What are the meaning of that? Let me clear off and say endpoint, enter. Now I call my command line. Imagine that previous time I wanted to choose or select the end of this line. It was not possible. But when I go now near to this, you will see a square with the green color. It shows that it is exactly the end of that. Now I can, for example, continue my drawing in this form. If I zoom in, you see that they are exactly in a same location. Now we'll learn that object snaps makes our drawings in exact form, but which one are most useful? We can use endpoint, midpoint, and center, which are used a lot, but we have given you all the informations about the object snap in our playlist in the channel. You can use them to make the process easy and more knowledgeable for yourself. For example, I say midpoint. In here, when I go to the middle of this line, in here you can see the green triangle as the midpoint of this line. And if I draw, for example, I say 200 in this direction. Now I draw this. It was information about the line. Let's go to the other part. In here we have PolyLine. PolyLine draws similar to line, but they have a difference with each other. What is that? If I draw, for example, the same case, for example, 200, 200, 200, it is the line. But you see that you may say they are the same. What is their difference? In AutoCAD, anything that you draw is an object. So when I select this, as you see, this is one object, two objects, three objects. But in here, when I select this, all are union and they are not separated with each other. So it is one object, but the previous, by the form of drawing with line, they are three objects. It is the difference there between them. Now, the other case is working with circle. You can use the circle by left click on this draw panel. In circle, what do you need is the center point and the radius. I say, for example, I want to draw a circle from this point with the radius of 100. Or it's better to say, for example, 100, enter. We have the information for this. But can we, for example, draw with diameter too? Sure, why not? I can say, for example, I want to draw a circle here. This time I want to use diameter. I can select on this sub option, or I can type D, enter. This time the value that I give is based on diameter. I say, for example, 200. It is similar to this one because the radius previous of that was 100, but here the diameter is 200. You can use different ways to draw a circle. You can use 2 points, 3 points, but mostly we use center and radius. Again, if you want to learn more, check our playlist. You have access to a lot of full, complete tutorials. The other important part is drawing with arc. For arc, it is a portion of a circle. You need to show 3 points to make your arc known. I say, for example, this is my first point, but you see that it does not let me to select except the horizontal and vertical lines. So I need to turn off this part. Now I can say this is my second point, this is my third point. You can use different ways to work with arc. You have center, start, center, and end. For example, when you work this, I say this is my start of arc. Now it is the center point. Center point of the arc, it means that the center point of this circle, as you can see. I say, for example, this is my center point. Now this is the start point. This is center point. I can give the angle that I want. For example, I say this is the angle and it's my arc in this format. The other command is the rectangle. I select on the rectangle by having this part, but before going there, the alias of circle is C and the alias of the arc is A. If I type A, enter, arc is active. If I type C, enter, circle is active. For rectangle, as you can see, I can type rec or clicking on this part. If I type rec, enter, now it is active. In rectangle, you need to specify the two opposite corners of your rectangle. I say this is my first corner. This time you can use arbitrary point or similar to the relative coordinates, as I told you. You can give the first value. For example, you say 300. Then with comma, you go to the you give the value of the length. For the width, you need to say, for example, 200, enter. As you can see, this is the rectangle that you are drawing now. In this part, by pulling down, you can access to the polygon. What are polygons? You can use polygons in, for example, 4 side, 5 side, or 3 side, which is the triangle. For example, if I say 3, I need to specify the center of that. It can be inscribed in a circle or circumscribed about a circle. I say inscribed in a circle, and with drawing this, I can draw a triangle. I can draw, for example, octagonal. I say 8, and with center of that, this time circumscribed about a center, I can draw my octagonal here. And also, the other important case is how to draw a point. I can say that you can come to this draw part. From here, you have access to points. If I draw a point, now I have different points here. But here is the important part. What is that? You cannot see the points. How you can make them be seen? You need to come to this utility part. In utility part, you say point style. In point style, you select one of these cases. For example, I say I want my points to be shown as, for example, this one. And I say, okay, now your points are in shown manner. So I say, for example, point 2, When I type point in full form, I can draw other points too. But when I type this, as you can see, after drawing one point, it goes out of the command. But here, when I say with this part, multiple points, I can draw points as much as I want. I can also, for example, come here and change this to this manner, and all of them are changed now for this case. It was all the information about how to work with the draw part, but thanks for staying up to here. It's time to see the output of our learnings, which is seeing the example that we are going to work now. It is my example. I copy it and I put it here. And this is my example. This example, as you can see, we want to draw it to see that if this session was useful for us or not. As you see, it consists of the lines, the circle, but from a specific distance from this part, which will have a trick here. And I will tell you to make you a master in this part. Let's start with this. I call this line, or let's, for example, be professional and say L, enter. In here, as you can see, I have the horizontal and vertical lines. So it's better to start from this point because we don't have information about this part. Now, let's see that it does not have any dimension. Let's start from this point. We say, for example, 45, but as you see, because ortho mode is not active, we cannot draw in exactly vertical form. I active this and I say 45 in this direction. Then I give the value of 120 in this direction. Then I go 44 in this direction. As you can see, 33, 33. What can we do now? I don't need to work with ortho mode. I need to use the relative coordinates. So I say that this time I give the value of 33 in x direction, comma, 33 in y direction. You may say that you forgot using the at sign. Yeah, as I told you, for relative coordinates we use at sign, but here because we use the dynamic input, this is the dynamic input that you see, we don't give the value in command line. We say we use it in dynamic input. Because of that, it understands that we give the relative coordinates. When I say enter, as you can see, it gives the value. Again, I want to work with horizontal line. So this time I use F8 key to make my ortho mode active. I give the value of 45, enter. In here, I want to give you an information, new information. When you reach to this point, you can type C or you can click to this sub option to close your shape. We didn't know the dimension of this because it's symmetric. As you see, it means that it's 33, 33. But imagine you don't know that. You can easily type C, enter. It closes your object here. Now I want to make the circle. I type C, enter. Here is the point. I told you we need the center and here gives me the diameter. But the important part is this. This part, this information needs the center of my circle. The basic users who are not familiar with this trick, they come, they say that, okay, I go with this line to make the center of this clear. I go it's 36 in this part, then I go 36 in this part, and this is my center, but it's completely wrong. Don't do that. Now you want to be a professional, delete these. And here it's good to say that for selecting the objects, you can directly go on top of them by left click, select them, or you can use the windows. When I, for example, draw this line, let me draw again 36 here too. When I draw this line, I can select this window or this window. As you see, when I select this and go to the left side, it is green color with dashed line. But when I go to the right side, it is blue color with solid line. What is the difference between them? It is the crossing window. It means that if a small portion of this has a crossing with the object, it selects that. But when I use the this part of this, it means that going to the right side in this manner, it needs to be, all of the object needs to be inside this window. So I say, as you can see, up to here I cannot select that, but when all the object is inside this, it selects this part. It was also an information that I wanted to tell you here. Now imagine that both lines are overlapping with each other. For selecting that, easily I can select with this manner, because if I come to this part, I select all these because this is cross selection. But here I select this one and delete that. Here I told you I will give you a professional manner for. I select the circle in this part. Come here, select the shift and right click. In here, as you can see, we have access. Let me call this again, from. So we select on this from. In from, it means that give me the information of a point, and from that point I will go further in X and Y direction and start my select is the first drawing. I say from this point, this is the start point, I need to give you offset in X and Y direction. What are their value? Shift and add sign. It is important to use it here now. I say which value? 36 in X direction, 36 in Y direction. As you can see, automatically goes to this part. And now I want to give the diameter. Be careful, it's radius. I type D and the value 36. It is the case. The other one, now you can do it easily and better than me. The distance is 84 and 20. So I say again, the circle, shift, right click, from, this is the first point, offset from this, shift, number 2 means add sign, 84, comma, 20. After this, I give the diameter. Again, I come to this sub option and say that the diameter is 20. As you see, we did this with just this short tutorial. Anything from this time that you want to draw mostly contains 80% or more than 90% these commands. By knowing them, you can draw anything in AutoCAD. Next session, our focus is learning how to modify them, because actually without just withdrawing, we cannot complete our project. We need to learn how to modify them and also enhance the speed of our works. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, please share it with your friends to help others join our community to learn the AutoCAD in an easy manner and in a practical manner. If you have any questions, add in the comment below. And by subscribing to our channel, you'll give me the energy to continue these tutorials. Thanks for watching, best wishes, take care, and goodbye.